There are very few pieces of tech on the market today that are as versatile as the Insta360 Flow. The reason I say this is, at its core, it's a stabilizing piece of tech. It allows us to stabilize video, footage, or even anything that we want to be able to capture using this, and it does it very well. Where it does something that is a little bit different, it allows us to add a light to our footage, so in case we do need a little bit of light, it's a little bit dark. And the ability of incorporating a selfie stick inside the actual, it's all in there. Like, this is such a small little piece of tech. And at the end of the day, also includes a tripod, basically the ability of configuring a tripod, a selfie stick, and a stabilizing gimbal all in one in this very small form factor. This is my review of the Insta360 Flow, and I've taken this with me around the world. Let's check it out. Like and subscribe, and make sure you hit that bell icon so that you're always notified to whenever we have new videos on the channel. At its core, I'll say this. This is pretty much everything that you're going to need, and we're going to talk about what comes in the box. First and foremost, the package itself is very nice and very detailed and very specific into what you need to do. When you open it up, you got the Insta360 Flow in here. There's some instruction information, the ability of downloading the app, and of course, some extra materials on the right on how to open it, and of course, know exactly how to use the grip. Some of the configurations that we're going to talk about are going to be app specific, but also some of them are also going to be device specific. Let's go ahead and close it up. This is going to be how it looks like when it's closed. Very simple and very easy. This piece typically is not going to be left on here because this is going to be on the back of your device, as you see here. And of course, this is what keeps in your pocket, and it actually does fit in your pocket. It's very, very small. But at the end of the day, I do want to talk a little bit about some of the main features that they're focusing for us. It's a 3-axis stabilization gimbal, as I mentioned to you guys. We also have, let's go ahead and bring it in, Deep Track 3.0 that allows us not only to focus on subjects, but also allow them to come back into the frame if somebody, let's say, moves in front of them. The ability of having the foldable, portable foldable experience here. The ability of having one-step rapid deploy, just open it up and starts working. Auto mode configuration, obviously AI powered modes, which is really, really nice. The ability of using magnetic design, that's going to be the clamp that we have here. The tripod built in here with selfie stick. And of course, all-day battery life. Roughly what they're advertising here is about 10 hours worth of usage. Last but not least is, last but not least is the smart wheel configuration, the ability of switching modes straight on the actual device itself. That little wheel that we have here is actually touch sensitive. They do include the instruction manual, of course, on how to use it, configuration in both English and Chinese, it seems. We do have a nice little grip that allows us to have a better grip on the handle itself. It does come included in the box. There's an additional light that allows us to actually have light or light in a darker or dimmer environment, and I'll show you guys how to use that. A few cables here, one for iOS and one for Android to be able to charge our devices, because the 2900 milliampere battery that we have built in here allows us not only to operate the Insta360 Flow, but it also allows us to charge from it. Now, one thing to keep in mind, there is 2 USB ports on here. The port that is on the actual controller itself, that says in, and that's going to always be the in port, and this says specifically out. To charge devices from here, you charge it from this port. To charge this unit, you charge it to this port. Very simple and very easy to configure. Last but not least, of course, we have the nice little magnetic clamp. It says Insta360, and what I love about it is it actually has the configuration here that tells you which side needs to be on which side. So this essentially is pointing to the camera, so as long as this is pointing to the sensor or the camera sensors on the back of your device, you're pretty much set. There's also a guide here that allows us to know exactly where to put it, and it's matched by the guide on that side. So it never goes on in any other way. It always comes on so that the Insta360 Flow knows exactly which direction it needs to go on. And the last thing I do want to mention is they do also include a case that allows you to carry everything with a nice little strap to it. I chose not to use this because this is actually small enough that for me, most of the time when I'm traveling, I'm actually just using this configuration. It sits very nicely and very flush in most of my backpacks. And of course, if I'm using the grip, it doesn't really add that much thickness to our device. Now, the nice thing about this is that the app that we need to use to configure this or use this device is installable on both Android and iOS. So Insta360 here and Insta360 here, both of them are very nice and very easily configured. Once you activate the application, it'll automatically take you in directly into the system. You can go back home and of course configure it. You have the Explore button, the album, that's going to be the downloaded content that you have recorded on here from this, so it automatically syncs it up. On an iPhone, it directly drops it into your camera reel, so you're not really looking for it much. On Android, it does keep it in its own folder. But the main thing about this is that once you configure it, so let's go ahead and actually do this. I'm going to attach this directly into my iPhone, and I'm going to actually keep it on the case. Most of the times, it's going to be friendly to almost any situation. It does block the charging coil, so if you try to use this with wireless charging, that's not going to work. But once you have this configured and it's pretty much set, you just configure it in here and it snaps on right away. And the moment I open it up, so let's go ahead and do this. So you open straight to yourself, And you'll notice that the camera opens up right away, and then we're able to launch it. It's connecting it. This is the actual flow. It's because I've already paired it. It works very nicely, pretty much the same way. If I double press it, it's going to automatically tilt us and provide us that at 16:9 aspect ratio. Click it again on the actual controller, takes us pretty much back there. All the configuration and everything that we're looking at here are very easy and very simple. Let's go ahead and bring it back. And what I mean by this is I'm actually able to configure, change the different modes by just swiping. We also have a nice little jog dial here that allows us to zoom in and tilt the actual configuration depending on where we are. So let's go ahead and just switch it over. You notice right there, it's doing a zoom in and zoom out, and it's going to configure it depending on what mode you're in. That's one of the biggest benefits here. Again, we have the ability of changing all the customizations in here, and one of my favorite is the ability of turning on. Let's go ahead and turn this on, and that's the palm to record and autofocus mode. I'm going to show you guys a quick sample right now in my backyard using this feature, and of course showing you guys how simple it is to unfold and use on the iPhone 13 Pro Max. This is going to work on almost any Android device, and features will differ between each one, and it works perfectly and of course more optimized for iPhone, so that's why we're going to do the demo on this one. So we're going to do a quick sample right now of me recording content on the Insta360 Flow. The biggest benefit here, of course, I'm using the front-facing camera on the iPhone 13 Pro Max, but it's actually tracking me. And as you can see from the side view, it actually was pretty simple to set up. The built-in tripod that we have here, we can put it and set it up anywhere we want, but also be able to be a content creator on the go by yourself. The biggest thing I'll probably say is the ease of use and the portability. And of course, when it's closed, it's compact. You can charge your phone, you can use the additional light, you can do a whole bunch of other things with it. But the main benefit is when you're done, you can fold it up, put it back together, and you're done, and it basically fits in your pocket. As you saw there with the sample that I've shared you guys outside, it's pretty straightforward. I connected my phone without even unlocking the phone and directly set it up on the actual mount. And as soon as I put it down and I showed my fist, it automatically started recording and it captured me as the subject. And this is where the AI technology comes in and the ability of actually focusing on the subject. The moment it does that, even if you fall out of focus, let's say for some reason somebody walks in front of you, it will catch up and basically bring you back into it and provide you, of course, the focusing that you wanted to do it. And it, of course, pans and tilts with you depending on how you've configured. The iPhone, for the most part, from what I understand right now, has the best compatibility, which means we can record 4K 60 frames per second on almost every situation that you can within the built-in application. The one thing that you can't do on most other devices, let's say Android devices and all that right now, is 4K 60 is limited in support, but 4K 30 is supported, and then in most areas it also supported 1080p. I'll try to provide you guys a link to a list of where you're able to check that out. But for the most part, what I'll probably say is if you're running an iPhone, you're not going to be disappointed. Of course, you can go in there, change the different configuration. Right now we have it under auto mode. I can jump in here, change the FPV, custom. I can just joystick speed, zoom speed, change the different options as well. And last but not least, we can always jump back into the main screen over here. The biggest thing I'll probably say, the overall experience that you get in here is that single creator type of an experience. It's easy to jump into the camera. It's easier to start shooting in the right modes that you want. And what I love about it is the technologies that they have in here. An example would be one of these situations. Basically, you're seeing here, we'll go into the shot library, and I want to share with you guys real quick. What you could do here, you can either go straight into the actual preset listings of experiences of what you need to do to be able to get some of those really great shots. And what they do essentially is they break it down to you one shot at a time, and it tells you exactly all the shots that you need to shoot before you want to start filming. And you can actually not only learn it, figure out exactly what you're doing. You have the fire over there, and this is where the AI functionality comes in. Let's go ahead and jump back real quick out. Typically what you would do is just say, I'm at the beach. You notice right there, it found the beach, so it's going to jump into it. And now it's going to give me a few options of what I can do to be able to shoot it. So it basically says, shoot a solo shot, shoot a different experience here. This is essentially the great way to capture the content, and of course some ideas, especially if you're looking for inspiration of what you want to do. And those are the different shots that you need to do. Once you're done with that, you can actually start doing the recording, or of course, you can basically start picking out those shots and setting them up and then configure everything. Of course, you can go through and experience all the different ones, but I love about the fact is it has that built-in search functionality. Sorry, I'm trying to do this while I'm looking down. That is built in straight into there. Flash, of course, filter built in, 4K capability, gimbal configuration. Of course, there's the settings information, the grip, the histogram, and all of that. Everything is configured very, very nicely. And what I love about this is that the also ability of having an additional light in case you want to be able to do some of that selfie video. And this mounts specifically directly on the actual unit itself. It mounts to the piece in here, as you can see it right there. And once you have it on, there's that little clip. You can mount it directly there. and then you have it set up. If you don't want to mount it there, you can mount it at the bottom. As you can see, it's pretty much just straightforward, and you know exactly where to do it, and it is very sturdy and very good. To release it, just pinch the top and it removes, and it works very nicely. And this will connect directly into the USB-C port that's on the top part of the Insta360 Flow. And we can change the color on the actual light from a warm light to a cool light. So depending on your experience, you're able to configure it here by the pluses and different color options that you have in there. Of course, if you don't need this and you need to charge your phone, all you have to do is unclamp it. As you notice, it doesn't do anything to the weight. It's pre-calibrated already. Remove the USB-C, use one of the cables that they have, and you can just connect it directly. And because it's positioned right on the actual moving arm, it never has to go anywhere and never tangles itself. So as long as you're connecting it from the bottom straight into your phone from here, you're going to get it really good. And the cables they provide us are definitely the right ones. Even though this actually does a lot of other things, again, the gimbal, the ability of using a tripod and all that good stuff. This also includes a little cold shoe. This is the ability of adding, let's say, a microphone or some type of attachment that you're able to add directly into it. I don't recommend something too heavy. But what I like about this is now you're actually able to get better audio, the ability of augmenting the audio experience. Just make sure that the wire that you're using here, if you're going to connect it directly into your smartphone, is long enough and it doesn't have a lot of tension on it. And make sure that it faces it correctly. Because the actual gimbal sits in this position, cable should come out this way, connect, and you're not going to have any problems. And then, of course, practice it a couple of times before just go ahead and deploying it, so you don't get anything tangled and you don't get any messed up audio in the experience. Especially if you're trying to basically be, again, that one-person content creator. You set this up, you open it up, you put the tripod down, extend the selfie stick, get that right level that you want, and of course, use a wireless mic, and of course, get the best audio and the best video on this device. Let's talk about the usability and my experience of using this, traveling with this, actually going coast to coast, and getting some experiences in using this when I'm actually creating content by myself. This is where it becomes very unique. The AI functionalities that we have in here from the scene detection are absolutely fantastic. It's great for if you don't have an idea of how to basically make a little short, some clips specifically where you are. Let's say you're outdoors, you're at a mall, you're at a beach. All of those things are very simple, and this provides you the cues to be able to create great content. This is something that Insta360 has been doing for quite some time. Even with the X3 that I've reviewed in the past, the biggest benefit there is that it has built-in templates to allow you to do certain things that you typically don't even think a 360 camera can do. Well, we got the exact same thing here with this one. As you can see right there, it's tracking me right now. The biggest function that I really love about this is that by myself, outdoors, I can use the best cameras on the iPhone or even on my Android device, and I can make sure that I'm always in focus. Even if somebody passes in front of me, the camera is not going to just pan and catch that person's face. It's going to stay on me as long as I start the video with it. The AI functionalities are there. The limitation that I'll probably say is depending on the Android device that you're getting, you're not going to be able to get every single mode turned on. And I'm talking about specifically video frame rate, well, video resolution, as well as frame rate. 4K 60 is going to be the best. Obviously, iOS is going to be compatible. It's easier to support iOS. When it comes to Android, I found that OnePlus surprisingly had the best support overall. So if you have a OnePlus, definitely going to give you some of the best experiences there. But in general, it gives you the same experience. The touch sensitivity on the wheel is very easy to jump between the different modes that we have in there. The ability of locking the horizon and be able to kind of do the pan shots and move in with it, it's really nice. I'm showing you guys some clips from Chelsea Market here in the on the other side of the country, obviously in New York, as I was traveling with this and I was trying to capture some content from there. And what I really like about the light is that, especially in low lit environment, when you're using the front facing camera, this is going to work great. This will not work, so the light is not intended for the back sensors, mostly because typically if you're using the main sensor on the back, you're going to be a lot further away from the camera, and this light doesn't really throw that far. So that's one of the biggest differences, but it's definitely very nice. You can charge your device, you can use the built-in 2900 milliampere battery that literally basically just not only lets this device run up to 10 hours, but will make sure that your device is running. It's easy to charge, easy to carry, and literally goes with anything, and that's one of the main benefits here. If you're looking for a Maverick, again, selfie stick, tripod, gimbal, AI content creation, ideas on how to create content, very big thing here. A lot of us don't know how to shoot a place. If let's say you're in an area where you want to basically create some creative content that looks really good, typically we, either we freeze or we just don't have any ideas pop into our head. Everything is built in here with tracking on the Insta360 Flow. So first and foremost, I want to say thank you very much to the company Insta360 for allowing me to check out the Insta360 Flow and share with you guys my experience after using this for about a couple of months now, and I've really truly enjoyed using it. Again, my only thing about it I would probably say is compatibility with functions on Android is not the same on iOS. You're going to get the best experience on iOS, either 13, the 14. There's not going to be an issue there. You're going to enjoy using this and creating better content. If you don't know how to do it, it will tell you how to do it. Again, crazy, crazy stuff. Like and subscribe as usual. Thank you very much for the support. And of course, I'll see you in the next video.